back in the spring, and we are just heading out on a bear hunt. I was out with some friends over the weekend for a hunting slash fishing slash take a couple days off trip. A place pretty close to home, not maybe 50 kilometers, maybe an hour and a bit. There's a little ferry to catch over the large lake. And anyway, we did some exploring just over this past weekend, and we found probably the largest repository of sign that we'd ever seen. Black bear. It's end of June, middle of June right now, so we're in spring bear season. And came home yesterday. Didn't see the bear, but saw lots of sign. And I looked at my schedule for the week, and I thought I'm going to give it one chance. Oh, there's a rabbit on the road. Anyway, the only chance I had to take off was today, the next day, Monday. So I am on my way back to the site for the evening. It's just past 5 o'clock now. I left home around 4. And I should be there shortly. And yeah, we'll see what we can find. Just kind of pattern this guy. Maybe we'll see him tonight, maybe tomorrow, hopefully. And see how it goes. But I'll check it in with you in a bit. And I'll try to get some shots of driving here. Okay, see you guys soon. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what it's like getting through the backcountry here. And, there's a pretty extensive road network of forestry roads that give access to obviously the forestry operations, but people have taken advantage of them for recreation, for settlement. We just passed kind of a medium-sized lake where there are actually there's a retreat and there are some properties and lakefront cottages type things. But it's pretty easy going if you have a reasonably tough vehicle. You get to see a lot of things that you wouldn't otherwise see. Not least of which is cut blocks, which is growing up in the city as I did, you didn't get to see very often. But also see a lot of mountains, which I didn't see very much of growing up as a kid either. Let's see. Also been a fair amount of bear scat on the road, which is a good sign. And I did, right as we got to this side of the lake, you can see a cut block here. It's not the prettiest sight, but it's how we do forestry, or at least part of how we do forestry. There's another one coming up here. It's how we get wood and paper and pulp and building materials, all that good stuff. And it'll all get replanted and regenerate, and there's a good case to be made for the effectiveness of forest management as well, so I don't want to take anything away from that. But to finish my thought there, we did see a little bear, a little guy, right as we got onto this side of the big lake, just a couple minutes from the ferry. But he was young. He was probably maybe 2 years old. I'm gonna check and see where I'm going. So we are on the last little stretch of this road here. The sign as we got on says it's been deactivated, although I've seen much worse roads than this that are technically still active. So I'm not totally sure what they're talking about, but I am going to check along the way to see about the scat on the road, because I did mark the locations of what we saw on the weekend. a note for all of you relatively new hunters like me. Most of what this is driving or walking places and looking for poop. As glamorous as that sounds. But I will see if I can find the last place I saw bear scat and cross-check it with what's in the app that I have, which is iHunter, and see if there's any new stuff, because if there's new from yesterday, that's a very good sign. Although given the topography here and just the layout of this dead end road that climbs a fairly high elevation that follows this creek up the valley, I have a feeling whoever this bear is, he's probably not going very far. And because there is grass all around, I don't know if you can see here, there's grass all up and down the side of the road. And this time of year, that is a major food source. And if you look at the bear scat, they are, you can tell that that's what they're eating. They're also, they enjoy skunk cabbage this time of year, which grows in pretty wet, swampy areas. And maybe at the very, very bottom of a valley, or even in town where it's a little more heat from the concrete, the berries no berries are really ready yet. My friend said he has huckleberries in his yard, but I think that's ahead of schedule. So as far as I know, the bears are still eating grass and skunk cabbage and other green vegetation. One interesting note that I've learned over the past year or so is, having grown up in Ontario, i.e. not with mountains, that I always assumed that something like a moose would live in low-lying swamps. I learned last year, as I was going for my bull moose tag, which I wasn't successful with. They live on the tops of mountains. The bulls, anyway, like on the very top, in like waist deep snow. So who knew? And at least in the springtime, these bears love the swamps because that's where their food is. And you won't be able to see it because it's on the other side of the truck. But I just drove past a big pile of bear scat. Well, medium pile. And I'm pretty sure that's the same as I saw over the weekend. It lines up with what I was expecting to see on the map. And there should be one more coming up soon, which I'll check, and then I'll get close to parking the truck and getting out on foot. But yeah, I'll check in when I stop. I'll just give a few minutes. All right, we are here. This is the spot. There's a little bridge over there. I'm going to cross that bridge and head this way, so to my left, up the valley, following the creek to where the sign was. There's a couple good spots up on some old cut blocks that maybe we can get a bit of a vantage point. And depending on how the wind is blowing, stay out of the scent cone of this bear. And yeah, we're all ready to go. I put some pants on because of ticks, and here's the gear. Rifle, put in the 200 grain hand-loaded rounds that I've been using. Successful with one of those on a black bear just over a month ago, but that's a story for another time. And then kind of medium-sized backpack with walking sticks, and I took the spotting scope out because there's nothing I can't see with my binoculars in this valley, and some food and some water and some gear for field dressing as necessary. Depending on If we're successful, it depends on where the bear lands, but hopefully it's on the road or near the road. We can field dress it really quickly, eviscerate it, get that heat mass out of it as quickly as possible, because it is still fairly warm, although the weather has been cooperative today, insofar as it has been overcast and not crazy hot like it's been for the last couple days. So hopefully that helps entice the bear to move around. And yeah, we'll take it from there. I'll check in with you on the trail. I'm only about 100 meters up the trail, but this is an example of bear scat. You can see I don't have huge feet, this size 10 boot, but it's a pretty long, big pile of poop. Probably just a couple days old. There's more on this trail from the weekend, but we'll see if there's even more and even fresher stuff. Okay, we made it to the effective end of this little valley here. So a little lay of the land. You can see behind me there's an old, looks like a burn. It doesn't look too old, the regrowth isn't super high. Just standing on a tree stump here, watch my step. There's a big slope behind me. That looks like a clear cut. And some regrowth, but I'm sure I could see a big black mass ambling through there. And you can see it's a fairly big stump. It's maybe 1.5 meters wide and about the same up off the ground, so it gives me a little bit of a vantage point. So what I'm thinking is somewhere down around here on the weekend we found a whole bunch of sign. So maybe 20 meters between the road, like off the road towards the creek, there was a whole bunch of bear poop, maybe the biggest I've ever seen. And fresh too. So that's a sign of recent activity. And if you look down here, it's parallel to the road. Down here, there's a little trail that clearly a bear has tramped out, if not once, at least several times. So that could be kind of a parallel highway to the road, just because that road is full of, I'm not sure what kind of tree it is, but aspen or alder or willow or something. So it's actually kind of hard slogging through there. So they take the path of less resistance, which is through all that low vegetation. The wind is coming from behind me, which is not great. It's kind of going this way. Not quite down the road, but sort of. I don't love that, but this is the best vantage point I'm going to get here. And hopefully, as the day gets later, the thermals will change and start blowing my scent a different way, or at least not down the road, because I'm hoping he'll be in this in front of me here. And bears they'll smell you before they see or hear you. And with camouflage, and if I'm quiet, there's a good chance he won't see me, but he might smell me. So also from this weekend, over here, there's little copse of trees, and there were some paths from that copse of trees across over to down where the creek is. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on that as well. It is just 6:15 right now. We've got about 3 hours before sunset. So sit here for some time, see how it goes, and yeah, wish me luck. We'll check in with you soon. Okay, change of plans. The wind is persistently coming down that valley, so standing up at the top of it was a non-starter, because it was just going to fill, and it was fairly strong wind too, so it was just going to fill that valley with my scent. So I decided to go back down to the bottom and think about working my way back up, or at least looking back up into the wind. And as I was doing that, I realized that there were a lot of parallel tracks kind of side roads where a bear or bears had been traversing. So anyway, I have gone back to the truck. Thankfully it's not far, and because my previous rifle was a long range 300 Winchester Magnum with a long range scope, like the minimum magnification was 6.5, went all the way up to 20, so, and a long barrel with a muzzle brake, which makes it even longer. Not ideal if you're in the woods. So I also brought one of my favorites, I don't know if you can see it here, 4570 lever action. It's got a little scout scope on it. I think it's 2.5 to 7 times. Anyway, it's low magnification and short little 16-inch or 18-inch barrel. And these don't have huge hands, but you can see that that's a big round. It's a 325 grain Hornady flex tip that I've hand loaded. Pretty accurate. Yeah, that's a large caliber. The Magnum, the other rifle, is 200 grain bullets, and they're pretty powerful. And this is 325, so lots of weight. Not as much muzzle velocity, but at short range, pretty devastating. So, and I can still make an ethical shot at 150 to 200 yards, which is more than enough for these purposes. So anyway, I'm going to load this up and start slowly tracking my way up those bear tracks and see what I can find. I'll let you know. So we're in the woods now. If you can tell, that's a big tree. Some old growth in here. Maybe second growth, maybe never been logged. But let me show you this Devil's Club. I'm standing right in the thick of it. If you can see that, it has spines all the way up the leaves. Actually, before I leave, I'm going to harvest a few stalks and make a healing salve with some of the bear grease from the bear from last month, because I'm told it has medicinal properties, and I actually had one from, I forget the name of it, but a community forest in northern BC. I won it at a silent auction at the BC Community Forest Association AGM, which was where I lived just a few years ago. And I think I gave it to somebody and have missed it ever since because I quite enjoyed it. Anyway, I don't know if you can see all of that's Devil's Club. It's all around, interspersed with the ferns, and it kind of grows up on a curve, and they kind of overlap. So if you push one out of the way, another one's going to come. It'll release another one, which will kind of hit you in the face or the knees or the hands. And it's unpleasant. Those little spines break off into your skin. And I think, much like a bee sting, part of the medicinal property also causes inflammation. So anyway, not fun. Try to avoid it as best I can. Before I leave, I am going to take a few stalks for my own purposes. There is plenty, so the forest won't miss it. But we'll keep going. I'm a little nervous about being in such tight quarters, because the last thing I want to do is come upon a bear within, 10 feet or 3 or 4 meters. So we'll keep going. Still got a couple hours before dark, and yeah, off we go. So not 10 steps from where I just recorded my last video. Walking down one of these, I don't know if you can really tell here, but there's kind of a trail here and then another one here through the forest. You can tell where the bears are pushing through, because even the small ones are big animals. So, but this was right along there. You can see it's still quite fresh, although it has a bit of a crust on it. So it's probably a couple days old. But there's my size 10 boot compared to that big pile of poop. So there is one large animal in here. We just need to intercept him. Just taking a little break here. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up or not, but there's the creek is just behind me down this embankment. It's actually quite nice. Just taking a little hydration break and let some of the sweat evaporate so I don't get too drenched. This is some physical work and I don't get too cold when the temperature drops. Also, that second rifle is substantially heavier than the first one by a few pounds. But I'm shocked at how big some of these trees are. Some of these old growth cedars, you can't really tell the scope from the camera. Right behind me there's a giant Douglas fir. But I wanted to point this out because you can see up here to the road there's kind of ferns, and you can tell that there's devil's club along the way and kind of matted, fallen, decaying wood matter, and then you get up to the road and there's kind of small deciduous trees blocking the way. But if you just look from the road, you would just see the wall of small trees and kind of the bracken, and I don't know if they call it muskeg here, but the kind of rotten forest floor with everything growing up through it, and it looks kind of imposing. But once you break through it, I mean, there's these spots of very wide open, almost no undergrowth areas. So it's not unlike when I got the bear last month, where it was a dry road on a hot, dusty day, and I ended up chasing him, spooking him into the forest, and I thought there's no way, because it was just a wall of timber going in, and I thought there was no point, but I took a couple steps through it, and on the inside it was kind of a wide open swamp, which you would not at all imagine from the road. So sometimes all you need is a little change of perspective. So had my little break. The bugs have found me, so I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to head up this way on this kind of parallel, more open area next to the road, or parallel to the road. And the wind, of course, has now changed directions and it's going uphill, so now it's swirling. Anyway, see you the next check-in. So the sun just set just about a minute ago. Almost caught a nice sunrise back there, but it has already passed. I'm going to do one last look around, although I'm almost hoping I'm not successful, because if I am, it'll take several hours of hard work in the dark. So, but we'll go see. And I just wanted to show you, I just set this up before it got dark. That is home for the night. Nice inflatable sleeping pad, a couple pillows, and a thin sleeping bag. So anyway, last little look-see before it gets dark, and sunrise tomorrow is at about 4 a.m. So I'm planning to get up at 3, make some coffee and breakfast, and get out before it gets light. So fingers crossed I'm not successful, but yeah, we'll see. Wish me sort of luck. Okay, bye. Good morning. It is about 4 a.m. So got a couple hours of sleep, and sun's starting to come up here. Already gotten changed into some warm clothes because it's a little cool this morning, and already boiled some water, a little cup of coffee here, have some homemade oatmeal, super hearty, lots of seeds and nuts and protein powder and some dried berries, and that'll keep me going for at least a couple, if not several hours. And gonna have a coffee and breakfast, get our poop together, and off we go. See you soon. Okay, we're fed and watered and coffeed and ready to go. Sun is coming up shortly. It's about 20 past 4. I think sunrise is officially 4:43. So yeah, now is the time. So off we go, back up the valley here, and we'll see what we see. So we made it to the top of the valley. Beautiful morning. Unfortunately, there's no fresh sign, at least along the trail or the road. Doesn't mean there's nobody here, but what bothers me more is that the wind is still coming down the valley, which means my scent is just getting blown all the way between me and the truck, which is not ideal, because if there's a bear here somewhere, he's going to smell me the entire time and can probably avoid me. So I think what I'm going to do is slowly head back down towards the truck, take a closer look for more sign, see if there's anything fresh, and if that's not the case, I think this wind is going to persist this way. It's been this way the whole time, more or less. Might just go for a little cruise in the truck, drive around a bit, see if we can see any other locations nearby. So we'll see how it goes. I'm also under a time constraint because I can't be out all day. It's midweek, so I've got to get back and get some work done. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Hi guys, I'm going to be quiet here because I'm potentially very close to an animal. If you can see around me here, I went down a little creek right here. I went for a little cruise up and down a few logging roads, and ended up at the end of a valley parallel to where I was this morning and last night. Lots of sign, lots of bear scat, lots of fresh scat all along the road, more open. So just generally I like it as a better spot. And I drove as far as I could towards the end and stopped the truck and went for a little hike. And just over this little rise right here, maybe 20 yards away, I just stumbled across a black bear. Medium-ish size. I had about 2 seconds before I could pull my rifle up. He darted off the path. So I took a look into the forest just to see if I could see where he went, but it's pretty thick. I gave it a few minutes. Nothing happened, but walked another couple hundred meters down the path and ducked in off the side a little bit. There's some open areas underneath, but where he went in is pretty thick, so I've set myself up downwind and looking back to where he was on the path. I'm going to give it about half an hour, see if he gets his nerve back and wanders back to where he was. And if that doesn't work, then I'll head into the forest. Sorry, that was like somebody just bumped into that tree I was leaning against. Anyway, I'm going to give it a little bit more time, see if he comes back. And if not, I'll maybe walk down that path a little bit again, and follow him into where he went, and then take it from there. And if not, At least I know where he is. I'll come back on the weekend if I don't have time today. So anyway, a little adrenaline rush. Better than a cup of coffee. Okay, see you soon. Okay, one last check here. You can see those mountains are quite nice. Anyway, nice view up here. I am at the end of this road. I can I can walk over this, and there's definitely a trail through here. But seeing as how I'm by myself, I don't really want to pack several hundred pounds over all of this. So I'm going to call it here and turn around, head back to the truck. It's too bad you can't see those mountains. They're really not quite nice. There you go. Anyway, tight little valley here. I'm going to head back and probably start making my way home because it is now just about 7:30. But great information. I will come back here for sure. So thanks for coming along, and I will talk to you later.